Leviticus 23 is one of the most significant chapters in all of the Bible, as far as Christ's ministry is concerned. It deals with the Hebrew calendar. After describing the weekly Sabbath, it gets into the feasts, and these feasts prefigured the ministry of Jesus Christ, the Messiah. Notice it says, "These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons. In the 14th day of the first month at even," and that is when the evening begins, and that is at 3 o'clock, "is the Lord's Passover." I want you to know that Jesus died at 3 o'clock on Passover. He fulfilled the Passover feast. He is the lamb slain from the foundation of the world. As Paul says, even Christ our Passover was sacrificed for us. The very next day, and it says, "On the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto the Lord. 7 days ye must eat of unleavened bread." Leaven represents sin. By Jesus' sacrifice, he eradicated sin out of our life. If we cling to him, he justifies us and cleanses us from sin. 7 days, that's God's number of perfection. And also, he was not risen from the tomb yet. He was sleeping in the tomb on Sabbath. He actually rested that Sabbath. Notice this, "In the first day ye shall have an holy convocation, and ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering by fire unto the Lord 7 days. And in the 7th day is a holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work thereon." These were called annual Sabbaths. So in the first day of the unleavened bread feast, and in the last day was a annual Sabbath, but it's going to get even better. Check this out. "And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye shall come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the firstfruits of your harvest unto the priests. And he shall wave the sheaf before the Lord to be accepted for you on the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it." That's referring to the annual Sabbath of the unleavened bread. So on the 16th day, they had the festival of the wave sheaf. That was a symbol of the first fruits of the harvest. What happened at Christ's resurrection? There was the first resurrection that took place. It was a little mini resurrection. We often overlook it. Read Matthew 27 all over again, and you'll see at Christ's crucifixion, the graves were open and they came up out of the ground at his resurrection. That was a symbol of the first harvest of the earth, and it was made possible because Christ had broken the shackles of sin that Satan had bound people in. He says, "And ye shall offer that day when you wave the sheaf, and a lamb without blemish of the first year for a burnt offering of the Lord." And then it talks about the meat offering that was to be offered. All of these offerings symbolized Christ's sacrifice. And it was a festival of the first fruits. And again, it gets better. "And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath," that's the tomorrow after the Sabbath, the day after the Sabbath, talking about that same day of the unleavened bread, "from the day that you brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall ye complete." That's 49 days, plus 1 there, and then you have, guess what? The Feast of Pentecost. "Even the morrow after the 7th Sabbath, you shall number 50 days, and you shall offer new meat offering unto the Lord. And you shall bring out of your habitation 2 wave loaves of 2/10 deals. They shall be of fine flour. They shall be baken with leaven, for they are the first fruits unto the Lord." This was the first harvest of the earth. What happened on Pentecost? The first Pentecost after Christ's death? You had the first harvest of the Christian church. Thousands of souls were added to the church in one day. Peter preached a powerful sermon. The birth of the Christian church took place on that first Pentecost after Christ's death. And so they have other offerings dealing with the harvest festival. It's also called the Feast of Weeks. Then it gets into the fall feasts, the autumn feast. It says, "And the Lord spake again unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say, In the 7th month, in the first day of of the month ye shall have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of the trumpets, a holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. This festival of the trumpets was to declare the coming Day of Atonement, the Yom Kippur service. And what is significant about that? Yom Kippur was the judgment day. That was the day when all of Israel would be cleansed completely from their sins. The sanctuary would be cleansed, and we'll get to that in a moment, but this was a declaration that the judgment was coming. In other parts of the Bible, we find that the reading of the law took place at this place during this feast, and so that was declaring the coming judgment. Notice, and the Lord spake again unto Moses, saying, also in the 10th day of the 7th month there shall be a day of atonement. That word atonement means at-one-ment. It brings God and sinners back together again, and this applied to the whole camp of Israel. It said, it shall be a holy convocation unto you, and ye shall afflict Ye shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings, and it shall be a Sabbath of rest. This is another annual Sabbath. And ye shall afflict your souls in the 9th day of the month at even, starting at 3 o'clock, from even to even ye shall celebrate your Sabbath. So again, we have the Yom Kippur festival. This is the Judgment Day festival. This is when the priest went into the most holy place and began the judgment. Jesus went into the most holy place in the heavenly sanctuary on this day. This is the type, that is the antitype. Or you could say this is the shadow. Christ doing it is the substance. When Christ entered up into heaven, he went into the holy place according to Hebrews 9 verse 12. He began the work of the high priest. And then, if you read the prophecy in Daniel chapter 8 about the cleansing of the sanctuary, 2,300 days into the cleansing of the sanctuary, that's referencing the Day of Atonement, and it takes place in heaven, because the heavenly sanctuary was a model after the earthly. You find that in Exodus chapter 25, verses 9 and 10, and also in the book of Hebrews, that Christ would go into the most holy place and begin the final judgment. He followed the same sanctuary pattern that was laid out in the Torah. And it doesn't end there. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 15th day of the 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles, for 7 days unto the Lord. On the first day you shall have an holy convocation. You shall do no servile work thereon, another annual Sabbath. 7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. And on the 8th day shall be a holy convocation unto you, and ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. It is a solemn assembly, and ye shall do no servile work therein. Again, another annual Sabbath on the last day of the feast. Notice what they had on this day. They would remember that they came out of Egypt. And check this out. During this feast, in memorial of the day that they came out of Egypt and the day they came out of bondage, it says, you shall take you on the first day of the boughs of the goodly trees, branches of palm trees, and boughs of thick trees, and willows of the brook, and you shall rejoice before the Lord your God 7 days. So basically, they would make a camp. It would be like a little family camp out for 7 days, and it shall be a feast of the Lord unto the Lord 7 days in the year. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations. You shall celebrate it in the 7th month. Ye shall dwell in these booths, like tents, 7 days. All that are Israelites born shall dwell in booths, that your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. Now, what does this symbolize? Before Christ comes, it says that those that are going to be safe are going to flee to the mountains. They're going to be camping out. And Christ is going to return, and he is going to save sinners. Sin and sinners will be no more after the second coming. And before he comes, there will be a antitype of this Feast of Tabernacles, when Israel remembered their days of slavery and how they left Egypt and prepared to go into the Promised Land. Before Christ comes back, the symbol of the Promised Land is heaven. And so we also will fulfill this by the days leading up to the second coming of Christ. So all of these 7 feasts, they point to different aspects of Christ's ministry. From the Passover lamb that was slain at 3 o'clock and Jesus being slain on Passover at 3 o'clock, all the way to this Feast of Tabernacles, which symbolizes his second coming, when people will be fleeing to the mountains for safety during the Mark of the Beast crisis. And just as they remember that they were brought out of the land of Egypt, out of the land of slavery, we will be remembering how we were brought out of the land of sin, how Christ delivered us from sin and restored us as free men and women and children of the King. So I hope you enjoyed that. Leviticus 23, one of the most important and overlooked chapters in the Bible.